YouTube. Welcome to Jackie's Lyric Corner. I am Jackie, and it is pretty early for me. Well, not early. I mean, I have gotten up this early, but normally I use this opportunity to go for my walk, but it's raining here. In case, my dad was like, let's go out and run some errands or whatever, I decided to go ahead and film now. Which, by the way, I finally got my Nickelodeon t-shirt from Five Below. I guess when we went to visit my sister. So let's talk about how my reading is going so far, for August. I can't remember what the last thing I read in July was, but I didn't finish anything when we were at my grandma's, which is no surprise. Which is kind of funny because, I have more downtime when we go to my grandma's because, we're not doing a lot except for maybe going out to eat, or if, there's some kind of, function they want to do, like a party or something. And then, of course, once they have the opportunity, my aunts and uncles and cousins come to visit for the day. But mostly we just sit around. My grandma has Fox News on, and, which is really annoying, having to have Fox News on 24/7. So I try to change the channel every opportunity I get, so we won't have to listen to that. And it's more about, I don't want to hear about that all the time, more so than whether I agree or not with what they say on that news station. But see, even though I have more downtime, there's really no comfortable place for me to read. I mean, she has a few places here and there. I mean, it's not like it's completely, there's the family room with, the counters and the chairs. Yeah, I could go there. I don't like laying on the bed I sleep on because the comforter has a design on it that kind of scratches my, if I lay on my stomach. And I'm not going to pull out the trundle bed where I've been sleeping lately, because I just don't like the idea of sleeping in a bed where it's against the wall and you have that railing or whatever against the wall. I'm not comfortable with it. And of course those mattresses are old. Really, really old. My grandma's not the type of person, if it's still of use, then she's gonna make me, she's gonna keep it. And she talked about her stuff. She has so much stuff, and we try to, particularly clothes, and we try to tell her, you need to get rid of some of the stuff because you don't wear it. But she's so insistent on keeping it or giving it to someone. She won't pass it on to, give her clothes to, or her, her fancier dishes to, a thrift store, a charity shop or whatever, because, she wants to give it to, and it drives us all crazy, because it's those people would really appreciate your stuff. And she's more prone to, give it to my mom or someone, or give it to my sister or I. She tries to give it to us, and it's we're not interested in your stuff. I mean, it's nice stuff, but it's still pretty dated stuff, But yeah, so she will keep things for years. And my mom will keep things, but not, if it's old and worn, then she's gonna eventually, get rid of it. So, yeah, so I don't like sleeping on the mattresses, but, I sleep okay when I'm sleep perfectly fine when I'm there. It's just, they're still really old mattresses. And then, which, it's kind of funny because, while on the other hand, my sister has a very comfortable house. It's a cushy places for me to be comfortable and read. But because we're constantly doing stuff, whether, with the kids, doing stuff with the kids, or, my sister is taking the opportunity, when the kids are in school, I have that breathed window, but then there are times with, my sister wants to run some errands because she doesn't have kids, keeping her, to worry about while they're in school. So she uses the opportunity to go get her errands done, and which I think most moms do that. I mean, almost all moms probably do that. So it's like, I mean, yeah, I could read in the car because I don't get car sick. I get, as I was just telling people yesterday at work, I get plane sick because we're talking about one of my coworkers went on his first flight before, so we were talking about flying, and I, was like, and I was talking about how I don't get plane sick, I get car sick, but I won't like, I mean, I don't get car sick, but I do get plane sick because I think with the altitude and everything, it can be too much to concentrate. And then, like, I'm sitting there for hours and my ears will start getting clogged and needing to be popped. And I'll get a little bit of a headache and need to chew gum. And I'm just, like, I love flying. I think it's fun, but, there are things about it. Now, like, no, I did mean it when I told one customer that I think the worst thing is going through security and all that. Like, I understand it's important for them to check, and make sure we, check and everything, but it's kind of annoying having to take off everything, like if you have jewelry, which I don't, so I don't have to worry about that, although my coworker did. And like take off if you're wearing a belt, or if we're wearing, take off your shoes and socks. I always make sure I wear slip-on shoes if I go on a plane. And go through security and all that, and like they that big giant x-ray machine, and it's just that takes forever. Which is why they probably tell you got to get there an hour or 2 hours beforehand, because you're gonna have to go through all that. And I always have to check and see how many bags I can carry on with me too. But yeah, that so there are some pros and cons to flying. Like, I think it's fun, but there are some negatives to it, which when we go to London, we're going to be flying, because you can't drive to London, unless you live in that part of the world. So yeah, I'm going to have to figure out how many books. But anyway, back to what I'm saying about, like, so, because of that, I have a small window of opportunity to do whatever I want to do, and we're always doing something, even though there's a lot of comfortable spots for me to read. I don't get a lot of reading time, which is another reason why I shouldn't bring so many books I do, but I just cannot decide what books I want to bring. But anyway, so I got very little reading done on both trips. Surprise, surprise. But like I actually read 2 poems from this. I decided to throw this in there in my bag, and I read 2 poems from here. I really like the first one. It's, if you read the Bible and you're a Christian, or the whole Pontius Pilate and everything, and he has this dream about Jesus before he meets him. Well, this is Pilate's wife's dream, the first poem, where she has a dream about what's going to happen. And we learn that she doesn't really love her husband. It was kind of a marriage of convenience for them in the poem. And that she is not, she doesn't really care about what happens to him. When she feels like he almost deserves to be punished because he's such a cruel man. And just, she sees all the horrors of what's happening to all these people in her dream of, what's to come. So I really like that poem. And then the second one, because I read 2, let me see. It's about having faith. Which I'm gonna have to reread that, because I read the Pilate's wife's dream twice, so I could talk about it. Because with me and poetry, I like the idea of it, but sometimes I have trouble understanding it. Because, of course, it's not straightforward with prose. It's, it's metaphorical. So I feel like it benefits from not only reading it out loud, but also reading it more than once. I did underline a few things in the Pilot's Wife's Dream. All black, one great cloud drawn from east to west conceals the heavens, but there are lights below. Torches burn in Jerusalem, and cast on yonder stony mount a lurid glow. I see men stationed there, gleaming spirits, sound too from afar invade my ears. I'm trying to think what's a good thing to read to you. I'll just read it. Dull measured strokes of axe and hammer ring from street to street, not loud but through the night, distinctly heard, and some strange spectral thing is now appeared, and fixed against the light of pale lamps, defined upon that sky, it stands up like a column straight and high. I see it all. I know the dusky sign, a cross of cavalry, which Jews uprear, while Romans watch. When dawn shall shine, Pilate to judge, the victim will appear. Past sentence, yield him up to crucify, and on that cross the spotless Christ must die. Let me see what else I have. I'm not gonna read it. Then came he, in his eyes a serpent smile, upon his lips a false endearing word, and through in the streets of Salem clang the while his slaughtering, hacking, sacrilegious word, and I to see a man cause men such woe, trembled with ire I did not fear to show. Don't you dare. Let me try to find. Our faith is rotten, our rights defiled, our temple sullied, and methinks this man, with this new ordinance, so wise and mild, is come, even as he says, the chaff to fan and sever from the wheat. But will his faith survive the terrors of tomorrow's death? At first I thought this was something Anne wrote, because I think she was the most religious in her family, but I could be wrong here, but I'm assuming all their fake names, they're Acton Currier and Ellis Bell. I think they're going by like Acton is probably Anne, Currier is Charlotte, I'm assuming, and Ellis is Emily. I could be wrong there, but it makes the most sense. Which means that Charlotte was the one who wrote the Pilot's Wife's Dream. I could probably, I wonder if you guys would be interested in if I did a video where I read some of these poems. Not all of them are read a poem, but then, they're very religious, so maybe you guys wouldn't be. But, I'm definitely gonna read them. So I can read some more of the Bronte sisters' work. So I read a little bit of that. Most of my focus, though, was on, I attempted to read this on the way there. Unfortunately, though, another reason why I need to be not bringing so many books with me, or at least not to have a hardback book in my purse, my backpack purse, is because I have shoulder problems. Again, it's not the first time. I don't know if it was last year or earlier this year, but yeah, so, I could not, so it was hard for me to even focus on the book and even, hold it up, because, my shoulder was such in pain when we first drove down there. I couldn't even, reach behind me to get, our snacks and stuff. My dad had to get it. So, yeah, that was not fun. And it's starting to go away, though, to the point where I feel like I don't need to take ibuprofen anymore. So, but I did read some of this, which I didn't, so now I did read the last part I read before I put the book down, put it on the shelf temporarily, is actually a part that I could see where people would not care about the part, or maybe even find it boring, because it was basically the father Zosimo, Alyosha's mentor and teacher, has just passed away, and Alyosha has written his like biography or whatever, and it's basically the story of him and his life in his childhood, how he became a monk. And I feel like for some people, you might not be as interested in that part. You might be more interested in all the other stuff, what the book description says this book's about. But there is a lot of philosophizing in this book, and I mean, like I said, we still haven't got to the murder of the dad yet, which that's what the book says this is about. We haven't got to that part yet. We did get to a part where, like, Ivan, after talking to Alyosha about his ideas about how there can't be God in this world because there's just too much shit in the world and too many ugly, horrible people, he has this last conversation with him, and he's like, by the way, remember, I'm going to Moscow now. So he goes to see their dad. He hasn't seen Dmitri yet, but he goes to see their dad. But along the way, he runs into the other guy, the servant, who's actually his biological brother or half brother, or like Fyodor's son, his other son that he doesn't claim him. He runs into them and they're talking and he's saying, what if this happened to our, what happened? What if, Fyodor, this happened to Fyodor. This, what if he dies? He could, and Ivan is not feeling comfortable with the conversation. He's kind of annoyed by him. And which is funny because later, after they end their conversation, he plays, not Ivan, but the other guy plays kind of dumb. Like, he's like, goes back, he's really good at playing the oblivious servant kind of mode. And when their dad comes, Ivan's kind of in a huffy mood, and he's already, of course we know that his dad's not his favorite person. And he walks away all mad and stuff, and Fyodor's like, what's wrong with him? And the servant guy, I'm sorry, I don't know his name, like, or at least how to pronounce it. He's like, I don't know why he's angry. And it's like, you're like, you do know why he's angry. You provoked him on purpose. But of course the dad doesn't know that. And and of course the thing about Fyodor is that everybody's time is his time. Like, it's all about what he wants. Like, when Ivan's trying to remind him, okay, I'm going to Moscow now, he's all like, oh, no, wait, I want you to do this thing for me. Deliver this or go talk to this guy. I can't remember what it was. And, he's like, no, I don't have time. I gotta catch a train. And he's like, oh, you can catch it tomorrow. Like, it's like he almost doesn't believe it when he says, by the way, I'm going to Moscow. Like, he doesn't care. He's like, oh, you're not going to Moscow. You're still gonna do this for me. He's like, it's all about me. He's just such a horrible, annoying person, He's like, me. It's, with everybody's time is his time. He doesn't even consider, like, okay, he expects his son to do this for him, and he thinks, oh, you're agreeing to do this for me. And then when Ivan leaves, he's like, he goes to the train station, he's like, screw this, I'm going to Moscow. Okay, that's my plan. And he tells one of their friends who knows their dad, he's like, okay, can you do this for me? Go talk to my dad and do this for him, and, tell him I'm not doing this. I'm going to, I'm leaving. And so it's like, and that's the last part I read. So, and of course, Fyodor's all so confident that he's going to do this for him. And he's probably going to be pissed when he finds out that Ivan left. And he's going to, once again, pull that act of, woe is me, he couldn't have done this little favor for me, just like in the beginning of the book when they go to the father to talk. And he's like, they're telling him about them both, Dimitri and him, being in love with this girl and everything, and he's acting all the innocent victim, pointing out this kind of, oh, woe is me, my children are not nice to me, they don't respect me. It's like, but you gotta earn respect, and you have not earned it. And he's gonna pull that card, that trump card again of, oh, poor me, my son couldn't do this for me. All I asked him to do was this one little thing. And it's just like, he's one of those annoying people that just doesn't realize how self-centered he is, and how his problems are not, like, what he wants isn't always, like, it's not about him. And how, just because you want something doesn't mean, everybody has to put down everything. You may be the parents, but you still have to earn some respect. And these kids clearly don't respect their father and don't love him. Because he's a whiny bitch. He's always like, poor me, my life sucks, my sons are horrible to me. And then it's so weird how both him and Dimitri love this girl, and it's like, that's so, like, I actually watch, like, my parents will listen to, my mom, watches The Bachelor and Bachelorette, so we were listening to one of the former bachelors. He has his own podcast where he talks about it, so we listen to it on the road now. At least it's not Dr. Laura, who I think is a mean bitch. So we're, like, listening to him, and one of his callers, he has a section where he has people calling in and asking him questions on how to solve this relationship issue, and one of them was all about, like, how he liked this girl and he was into her and they started dating, but then all of a sudden she's going for his dad. The dad is interested in her, and the dad, and I think he cheated on his wife. I think he was still married to the caller's mom, and he cheats on his wife, or no, they might have been divorced. I don't remember the exact details, but it's really sad because not only did the dad steal his girl, but he used to have a great relationship with his dad. They were close. Yeah, I think they were, which, by the way, I think the parents were divorced or separated at least. But he had a relationship with his dad. He was very close to him, and then to find out his dad stole the girl he was interested in, so it kind of reminds me a little of what was going on here with Dimitri and their dad liking the same woman. It's like, really? That's just weird. That's so inappropriate and just so just so messed up that they both like the same woman. And yeah. But yeah, so that's the last thing I read. Let me see, where am I right now? I'm on part 3. And they're putting, Alyosha's putting Father Zosima to rest right now. The problem with this one is, when I put it down, I can't talk about everything in the book. Not just because and I don't mean as in I don't want to give anything away, but as in it's just very hard to talk about this book if I put it down for a period of time. Like, I have to pick it up and get back into it to remember what's going on, to be able to talk to you guys about it, explain what I've read so far. Like, I can't talk about what I'm currently reading with the book, because I have to pick it up and read it again. So yeah, it's been, look, I did that when I was putting it back on the shelf. This little corner piece is falling apart. So I have to tape that or something. So yeah, this copy is, you can tell it's been very well read. But it was already a used copy, though, to be fair. So I just made it worse. So the only other thing that I read the most of during was The Burning God, the last book in the Poppy War trilogy. And I still love this series. I'm still enjoying it. I know a lot of people don't love it, and there's a lot of criticism of it. Like, people don't like Rin as a main. People hate Rin as a main character, which I love how she's such a flawed person. I mean, maybe to most people she doesn't have anything likable about her. I mean, the most likable thing I think is that she's a badass and that she does care about people. She does have that little bit of humanity. Although this book, I feel like, shows that she's lost most of. She doesn't have as much humanity anymore. She seems to not care about, like, so focused on war, and she even talked about she can't survive in peacetime, so she couldn't deal with that. But I remember, like, she receives this note from Neza that he has her foster brother and has her foster brother write back to her, which we still don't know if that was true or not. He hasn't said anything to her because they do cross paths again, and he didn't say anything to her. But of course, so maybe this proves that she was right, that he didn't. That was just a trick. And she's like, even if it is legit, I don't have time to worry about my foster brother. He's not, I haven't seen him in years. I don't have a relationship with him. I moved on. And so, of course, Kate, he's seeing how she's kind of not caring as much about humanity. But I think she still cares a little bit. She's still questioning things, but she doesn't want to admit it because she is a soldier and she's a leader. She's a general, so she can't waste time on that. Like, I kind of get in some way why she feels the way she feels, because she is in a war where you're killing hundreds of people, so you don't have time to get all touchy-feely and sentimental about, because sometimes you don't know who you're killing. You don't know if you're killing the enemy or accidentally killing an ally. War is chaos. And she doesn't have time because she's shedding blood, and sometimes she has to make these decisions, and she has godlike powers, and it's just, she can't worry about having compassion. But I think that's why she's anchored with Kate, because he worries about that. He keeps her in line, keeps her from going too far. I mean, she has made decisions, especially in this book, that he doesn't like her decisions. Like, the Vipress comes back in this book, and he still thinks she's kind of has a power over Rin, like a hypnosis effect on her. And thinks, like, because she suggests that maybe the best way they can win is to create an army of gods like her. Which, on the one hand, they're powerful, they can easily kill people, like, they could win. But the problem is that, could you really, Kate is like, could you do that to another person, to another human, destroy them, have them consumed by this godlike power that could destroy their humanity? Can you do that to another person? And then you have, at one point, they're gonna, like, they wanna, like, he doesn't trust the Vipress, and he's still is biased. I mean, she killed his dad, so, which you can't blame him. But yeah, so Rin is being forced to make these decisions that, Kate doesn't trust. He's worried about her, but she's so far gone. I mean, there is a little, but I do think she still cares. She still cares about other people. It's just you gotta dig for it. You gotta, she's gotta put in a position where she realized where it's put right in front of her. It's like, this was not the best decision ever. Like, the last part I read, she was trying to make, figured we need this weapon to help us win, and then realizes almost too late that, oh, great. Well, it actually might be too late, because I'm sure, it's not gone. It's gonna backfire on her ass. But she realizes almost too late, potentially almost too late, that all these warnings that people were telling her not to rely on this particular weapon were smart. That maybe it was too risky, and maybe she shouldn't have done it. um, it was like one of these situations where she was like desperate and was like, this is the only way we can win. Like, that's what she cares about, wanting to win. But yeah, so this is so far really, I still really like it. Now, I can't talk about the military stuff because some of the criticisms are about how the military is portrayed in this story. Which I think you get more of that in Dragon Republic probably. So I can't speak for that. Except for that I feel like it's just showing her character doesn't respect people, and but this is also a fantasy story in its defense, so I mean, but so far I'm still loving it. I know a lot of people don't love it. I mean, I would have to look at reviews to pinpoint exactly what people don't love about the series. I mean, like I said, if it's about Rin as a character, I personally like her as a character. I like how screwed up she is, how she makes such bad decisions, how you get super frustrated with her all the time. But I understand, you want some likability from the main character. At the same time, you don't want them to completely completely heartless. I mean, but there has to be some kind of charm and likability, and maybe there isn't with her for most people. But yeah, so far, but I'm cool with her because I like how screwed up she is. I find it fun to read. Okay, so that's mostly what which I'm trying to get it finished before, because my sister is going to come to visit for one last vacation before school starts for the kids. So she's going to come to, she's going to come to visit in like a week or two, I think. So I'm trying to get this done before then. So thankfully, I have 2 days off, so I can get a lot of reading done the next 2 days. Which is why now I'm finally filming, because I'm finally off. So I am still reading Bag of Bones, by Stephen King, and there is a lot of weird stuff happening. He's experienced a lot of weird things. Mike Noonan is experiencing all these weird things. He keeps hearing a crying child, and the little girl woman he met on the road, walking along the road, he met the little girl's grandfather and her mom's father-in-law, and he called Mike and was like, okay, I know something happened with this, and you need to tell me the truth, because he's probably fishing for an excuse to make her look like a bad mother so he can claim the child. So Mike is caught between, he kind of feels like I think he's caught between wanting to help, but thinking, oh, I probably shouldn't get involved in this. This is, none of my business. And, I need to just worry about myself, but I think when the guy called, I think it was more out of pride and being like, I don't appreciate this man assuming that I'm going to help him out and just calling me. I think that was more, he was kind of annoyed by that. And I'm at a part where the guy, one of his friends, he shows up to fix his air conditioning, and he starts telling him about, I don't remember her name, the woman and her daughter, and why Mike needs to stay away from them and not get into their business. And also that Max Devereaux is going to give him, Max, the father-in-law, is going to give him trouble and cause him problems if he gets in their business. And right now I think Mike is keen on it. He's yeah, I don't want to get involved in it, but I think he's gonna. I do believe from reviews, Mike's book reviews, talking about, and obviously, this is a long book. I think Mike is still going to get involved, and I think there's going to be a relationship between the two of them. a romantic relationship between Mike and the woman. But like with Lissy's story, this one explores grief and the loss of a spouse in this one. And the struggles of that. Like, now, thankfully, I can't relate to that because I'm not, I'm not with anybody. I'm not planning on getting married. But yeah, so I can't relate, but it's still pretty good. Like, a lot of the stuff, which, although, a lot of stuff that Stephen King writes about with all the real life stuff, I can't relate to most of the books and most of the conflicts that these characters go through, especially the adult characters. Like, so far, I think part of why I love it is that I can somehow relate to that. Not exactly, but, the friendships and stuff, the group of friends, and sometimes the feelings of feeling alone and stuff. Like, I think, I more connect with the stories. It's probably what I'm sure I would connect if I had it connected with, like, stories like The Body and everything, Like, even though I'm an adult, a lot of the things that Stephen King writes about for his adult characters, I haven't experienced myself, thankfully. But I still love his work and his stories, and although I can sort of relate to grief because I have lost family members that I was very close with, so I can relate to that in a way. But of course, it's one thing to lose your grandfather, even if you are very close to them, to like losing your spouse. Like, it's different. But anyway, so yeah, now first though, I'm going to focus so I can at least finish The Burning God, because it's the last book in a trilogy, and I kind of want to be like, I finished this trilogy, I finally finished the trilogy, and to be able to say at the end of this year, to be able to tell you guys, guess what, I finished this many series, or at least trilogies. But like this one, I want to read this because I had started this last October, so it will almost be a year in 2 months. It won't be a year since I read this, but my plan is to get this done before the end of August. And then, like I said, I want to read Grapes of Wrath, and I think I might go in and pick up the Sapphire Altar, which is the sequel to the Belated Faith. I want to pick that one up so that all I have to do is read one more book in that series whenever he publishes it. I just have to read that one, and then I am good and done with that series too. I don't know if that will get published by the end of this year, though, so I might end up reading it next year. But we will see. But it'll be good to be able to say I got that one done as well. Like, I know, we're like, don't rush, enjoy the ride and everything, but, but for me, it's, my problem is that I have a lot of trilogies and series where they'll be sitting on my shelf for years, and I'll be in the middle of reading that book or in the middle of that series, and it's like, I need to finally work on getting them finished within the year. Because it gives me feelings of anxiousness, when I put it down. Like, I'll distract myself and get into other books, but then I'll start being reminded of, oh, I have to finish this book. Like, I still finished Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell and, The Name of the Rose. I did start reading, The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. I got to get that one read, which that one is going to take forever because it's a chunkster of a book. It's a not-fiction book. And there's others, and then another book in the series I need to pick up and read is, I need to read The Framley Parsonage. I'm looking at my shelf right now. It's over here. The Words of Radiance, The Name of All Things. There's so many series that I need to read the next book. Shadow Rising. So, yeah, I'm trying to work on that. That's one of my goals for this year, is to knock out some of those. I know, most people say, oh, don't rush it, but I want to get it, I want to be able to say I finished it, and it's no longer just sitting there waiting, calling to you like, oh, read me, don't forget to read me. Which I know that, as Simon from Simon Savage Reads said in his comment to when I comment on one of his videos, that it's all about timing and when you read the book, but and I also responded with, it's all about my mindset too. But also I just don't like having series unfinished, or at least being behind in series. Not necessarily, because of course the longer series I won't necessarily finish by the end of the year. And then with trilogies, it's I only have 1 or 2 books to read, so there's only 3 books within it, so I could get them read. I should be able to get those finished within the year. But because it's only 3 books. But anyway, so that's where I am with my reading right now. Like I said, I'm going to focus today on reading as much of The Burning God as possible. And then a little bit of Bag of Bones. And like I've said, there's a possibility that my dad might get a little cabin fever and want to leave and run errands, which is why I'm filming early now instead of filming after, I get all settled for the day, because I don't know, my dad might be like, oh, do you want to go run some errands? Maybe I could take you to drop you off the bookstore. So I wanted to go in and film this now. But anyway, I'd love to know what you guys are reading currently, how you're starting out your month of August. Have you already finished any books yet? What did you read in July? Would love to know. For those of you who don't have channels or you don't post videos, please share in the comments below what you read in July, what you're currently reading. Like I said, if you finished anything already, would love to know what that is. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, click the bell notification button if you want to be notified about my latest videos. I hope you're enjoying your reading, and I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye!